Right, there you go. All right.
Right on.
Sir, yes, sir.
Amazing.
The man.
The master.
No, that's you, man. What kind of amp is that in the back?
That's a Dr. Z.
Doctor Z, what is that?
Dr. Z is he's a guy that builds amps out of Ohio.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a cool company, man. They're not too expensive and they're hand wired, kind of the old school way.
There you go. There you go.
Awesome. Well, look, we are here with Elijah Reginald Wooten,
That's
amazing guitarist, amazing teacher, and just all around cool dude. And man, I've always planned on doing this once I started doing this channel and all this stuff, but I was saving you. I was saving you for the cleanup. You're my cleanup hitter right now. You're my Regi Wooten. Regi Wooten, my Reggie Jackson right now.
no, man. I'm just trying to be like you, man. You know how it goes.
Man,
That's cool.
this is amazing, and I want to get right into it, and I'm going to name an artist, and I know it's going to bring back memories for you.
Oh yeah.
James Brown.
Oh man, James Brown. Well, believe it or not, when I was like 5 years old, I danced on stage with James Brown. Me and my brother Roy and Rudy. My mom took us to see James Brown in Columbus, Ohio. Uh, I was in the audience going crazy. I mean, totally crazy. And I saw James Brown point at us, and I got scared. He got his valet. His valet came and talked to my mom and my aunt. They brought us on stage, and so all three of us danced. Um, I danced good, but I wasn't dancing crazy like out in the audience. My brother Roy was going to town though.
Wow.
He he's trying to outdance James Brown. But me and Rudy were a little bit shy. But yeah, he really liked us. He kept saying, "Dance, dance." He
That
liked it.
that do you think maybe is that maybe where you got the bug to get on stage?
Yeah. To this day, I still feel every time I hit the stage, I still feel that spark because he was on fire.
Yeah.
You know,
Do
and I always
you remember which band he had at that time?
flames.
It was the Flames, original band.
From my history, yeah, it was the flames. It had that real deep bass sound, real deep, and back in those days, early '60s.
So this was approximately what, 1963, 64?
Yeah, 61.
61. Wow.
Yeah, yes, sir.
That's like live at the Apollo, James Brown, right?
Yeah, yeah, he was young on fire, slick hair,
Yeah.
every,
You know, and this is something that I talk about on this channel.
yeah.
They don't make performers like that anymore.
No, I hate to say it. I mean, but it's totally different now. From performers, guitar players, songwriters, everything is a lot different now.
Yeah. I mean, the amount of work that guy would do on stage.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He clocked in and he went to he got to work. There wasn't any playing around up there.
No, no,
Uh,
not much talk, not much talking, just bang.
yeah. And was the crowd going crazy?
Crowd was going crazy. Everybody was standing up. I remember that. That's why we were allowed to stand up
And
because
that's back in those days, man, you think about what you had on stage. Now they got all this, screens and all this, technology and stuff on stage. But back then, dude, it was just a couple tube amps, a drum set, a spotlight, and
right.
and the performance, and it was all about the performance.
About the performance, you're correct.
Yeah, there was no assistance. You know, if you were having a bad night, they weren't able to pull up your vocal and do all this trickery that they do now.
No, no, it was different. Yeah, the sound was different back then for everybody. I can remember. I'm a little bit older than you. I can remember. Um, they the PA used to be on the stage. You see, it wasn't like all over the whole Coliseum.
Yeah.
And that's for everybody, rock bands, because we used to be in rock band contests too, way back in the early 70s. But the PA being on the stage created a certain thing because the sound was coming from that direction. So everybody wanted to run to that direction.
Yeah.
That made people scream, like with the Beatles and stuff like that. Because you got all these people, but the sound's coming from there. So everybody wanted to run to the front to be near that sound.
Yeah.
Remember, I can remember when they first started putting the PA like up on the side over here and way over there. Since around, I remember it took away the excitement. Like, man, it's technical, but it didn't have the same oompa. It didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. There's something about that energy getting focused.
Yeah, it changed the energy to this day.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
how you
it's not the same, man. Going to see a concert, now it's kind of like
yeah, it's totally different. I know.
it's totally different. And I think back and I look now, if I go and watch a clip of a band in the 70s or the 60s and they're playing and I go, man, these guys are just raw. It's just you just have to friggin' play. You've got to bring it. I mean, they didn't even have like effects and stuff. Now you could put a ton of reverb on a vocalist and try to help them out.
Yeah. No, you're right on it, man. That's real.
Yeah. So and then I mean, so you're on stage dancing with James Brown,
Yeah,
and there's three of you at that point in time, right?
that's correct. Yeah,
And then Joe eventually shows up, right?
that's correct. 3 years. There's three of us in a row. 3 years in a row. Me, Roy, and Rudy. Then you wait 3 years, you get Joe. Wait 3 years, you get Victor.
Ah, wow. Wow.
I'm 8 years older than Victor, but Joe wasn't born yet.
Yeah.
That's how I know how old I was because he wasn't born yet. I was
And
like,
what year did you start playing guitar?
um, my seventh grade year, I finally got a guitar. I always wanted a guitar. I had a ukulele because we used to live in Hawaii, but parents in the military couldn't afford a guitar. Plus, we're moving around every 2 years,
Yeah.
so it probably wouldn't get shipped or something like that. But finally, in the seventh grade, got a cheap, I think like a Decca guitar from Sears or something like that.
Yeah.
So, man, what year was that? I graduated in '74, so
Okay.
seventh
So
grade. But I love that thing, man. As soon as I got that thing, you know, to this day I still haven't stopped. I just like the way they look, real shiny and everything like that.
yeah, what was the first song you remember learning?
Probably some old, Eric Burden and the Animals, Sky Pilot. Then I used to play some R&B, So same stuff I was playing on ukulele at the time. There are many hits at that time. Back in those days, there's tons of music on the radio from everything sounded good. Carlos Santana, Jackson 5,
Yeah.
Brown, Elvis.
Yeah, and it all seemed like it was kind of came together. I mean, like you would see on Ed Sullivan, you'd see James Brown, but then you'd also see, the Everly Brothers or whatever.
Yeah, and I had that classic sound. I could like those tunes were classic. Like if you hear it now, it sounds like it's always been there.
Yeah.
So it's really easy to play back then. A lot of excitement.
Yeah, and everybody wanted to play back then, right?
Everybody, man, people were quitting their jobs. Post Hendrix. I mean, I didn't get to see Hendrix. I was too young. But I can remember when people started quitting their jobs to ride motorcycles. We were in California for 5 years, which is a long time for us.
Yeah.
Um, but on the West Coast, people were quitting their jobs to ride a motorcycle across the country. They had their little acoustic on the back.
Yeah.
We'd be driving across country, and the motorcycle gang would wave at us. They got the acoustic, I had to show my ukulele. It's different time. But yeah,
So,
but being a musician was a cool thing at the time.
yeah. Yeah. And what part of California were you guys living in?
Sacramento, California.
Ah,
Rancho.
Sacktown. They call it Sacktown, right?
Yeah,
That's cool, man, because you guys, I mean, eventually you ended up in Virginia, right?
after California, yes, sir.
But did you start playing with did Victor come along and then you started playing on the West Coast? Is that how that worked out?
Well, before California was Hawaii. Okay. So Victor started playing in Hawaii. I started teaching him, he was 2 years old. So I taught him one day, and the next day we had a gig. We had a big party. So he played a gig on the second day. He had like a little Mickey Mouse guitar. All he had to do was just strum it in time. We could get
Yeah.
it. Just got to stay in time. That was his first gig.
Wow.
Yeah, and I taught Joe, like he was a little Peanuts character piano, and he just had to stay on the beat. Ding, 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 ding. We play. I'm gonna wait till the midnight hour. Do, 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 with my love. He just had to stay on the beat.
Yeah.
Did the rest. I did heavy ukulele.
Yeah.
We had like boxes. They made a drum set, and Rudy had a plastic saxophone. But that was our first gig. It was jam packed out there.
Wow. Were you guys inspired by the Jackson 5? Was that sort of the impetus for that?
No, being honest, like I actually started the band. It was my idea. And when I saw the Jackson 5, we were in Hawaii. It's like I remember going like, somebody's seen us play. How can there be another five brothers? I mean, for me, I was like,
yeah,
not disappointed, but like wondering how can this be? We just got started, and already there's another. And we were much younger than them.
yeah.
It fazed me. I just thought it was crazy that there's another five brother group.
Yeah, that it hasn't really. I mean, you had the Osmonds, but it really hasn't happened since, right?
Yeah, there's the five stair steps and the Silvers and. But yeah,
Some of those groups, but not dudes that could do this, bro.
No, so but we weren't intimidated. We were different anyway. Like, we could really play. We were into rock and roll and stuff, and I was into really learn how to play. Rudy was into. I mean, we were into jazz. We were trying to do it all because we were playing for adults.
Yeah.
We're playing all the on army bases, NCO clubs, officers clubs. So when Victor's 5, we're out there playing. Like when Victor was 6, we're on tour with Curtis Mayfield.
Wow.
California, and Victor was like the star of the show. He was killing it.
Wow. Was he playing a full scale bass at that point in time?
Yeah, he played the Beatles bass. It was full scale, but we get like the little Beatles Horner bass, so it wouldn't hurt his shoulder so much for the weight.
Yeah.
But it was full scale.
Wow. And just curious, what would you get paid as a band back in those days for, your five guys playing a gig? What was the pay like back then?
I think the least we got paid was like $150 for the whole band. We make $200. That was great money for us because we could buy something to eat, cereal, or
yeah. Well, you could buy a lot with $200 back then.
Then, yeah, it's totally different. Gas was really cheap.
Yeah, gas was what, like 15 cents?
Yeah, and Ohio was like 15 cents.
Wow.
15 cents is like, man, it's getting expensive.
Yeah, you could get a soda pop for 10 cents. You could probably buy a hamburger for 50 cents.
Man, if you had a dollar, you're rich in high school. Yeah, man.
Man, that is incredible. Now, Curtis Mayfield. How did you guys get hooked up with that and end up touring with him?
Well, in California, I was the oldest. Me and my mom could work together really good. Like my mom said, if I have the band ready, she would book us gigs.
Wow.
I would find out about gigs from high school, about the colleges. So we were playing the colleges, American River College, Consumnes River College, and I'd find out about my mom would actually book it, and it's through one of those. It's either American River or Consumnes River College that we met a producer of a guy named Wally Cox, another Wally Cox, that could get in touch with Curtis Mayfield and book us on the tour, book us on this Superfly tour.
Wow.
Guy saw us, came to the house, was amazed, and so we actually got on the tour. We actually took pictures with Curtis Mayfield. Excuse me, went up to San Francisco to Wally Hyder Studios, and we cut 2 tracks. Had some studio musicians, but we cut 2 tracks with Curtis Mayfield, and then we took pictures with him. Took pictures with his manager, a guy named Mars Stewart, and so actually there's some pictures floating around with us little guys with Curtis Mayfield.
Wow.
And then so we did all that, cut 2 tracks. They never got released, and then we did the tour.
That's amazing. Now, were you guys driving? Was like the family all driving to the gigs kind of thing?
Yeah, and a station wagon. In the
Wow.
very beginning, my dad wasn't into it. He was working all the time anyway, being in the military. But then he started seeing the money we were making. I remember we were supposed to go to Reno, Nevada, and he saw how much my mom was going to pick up. So he just took over from then. He took over the whole thing.
Yeah.
It was totally, and it was totally different when he got involved. But me and my mom, we were smooth.
Yeah.
But my dad got in there, family dynamics and everything. But he got us there, and we actually had extra security because he was very protective of us.
Yeah.
He was overly protective of us, because Victor was so small. We were his sons.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't believe Victor was playing.
Wow.
Uh, Sometimes Joe would be down on his knees doing James Brown. People would gather up, and you couldn't see him because they're so small.
Yeah.
Your dad would come up there, kind of want to push people out the way.
Yeah.
I would have to come and he'd call my dad down.
It's all right. It's all right.
It's all right. It's all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot goes on to it. Went into it, but it was fun. It was fun playing with the brothers and everything. It was a lot of energy. And I
Yeah.
was always been a practicer, working hard, so uh, it's pretty good. A lot going on.
Man, that is incredible. I can't imagine, being that age and being on tour. And here's the thing, man, you guys have always kept a level head. A lot of guys like me, you get out in the road and we start doing knuckleheaded stuff, and we start, having knucklehead problems, but you guys have managed to stay away from the trappings of rock stardom, and it served you well because you guys are out there touring now as we speak.
Oh yeah, yeah. Trying to stay healthy. But I remember in California, when I was in California in junior high school from 7th grade to the 11th grade. So in the 11th grade, I left California and went to my next high school, Denby High School in Newport. But in California, it's the height of the drug thing, right?
Yeah.
I didn't have anything against drugs, But what happened was they just challenged me. They said, "Hey, they said no way I could." There's so many things they said I wouldn't be able to do. They told me my hands were small. You're not going to be able to play rock guitar, play soul guitar. As soon as they said that, something clicks. I'm going to learn how to do it.
Yeah.
They said even teachers was saying that, like we had to take these classes back then. You take sex education, but then you also have to take drug education or something.
Yeah.
And the teachers are like saying there's no way to avoid it, but if you do have to do it, so right there, that just made me. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of ridiculous, school stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so right there, it just I was kind of, I hate to say it, but I was kind of very competitive. If they say I couldn't do it,
Yeah.
I had to say, well, you're going to get old. You're not going to be able to jump around. It's like, so I just make sure I can jump around.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was just kind of that kind of a edge. Like, but when they were telling me all that stuff, it kind of woke me up. Then I was the oldest of the brothers, so I had to be a very good example.
Yeah.
At least come halfway to where I was at as far as
Yeah.
things.
Man, and that's an important lesson because I think everybody can relate. There's always going to be somebody that could tell you can't do it. There's always going to somebody giving you bad advice. Sometimes the bad advice even comes from your parents. And I mean, so it's like you have to, listen to what people say, but also make up your own mind.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's right. Yes, sir.
That is amazing. And now, so was that a culture shock going from California to Denby?
Yes, it was. It was totally different. I was older. I was 11th grade. We got there Halloween night, 11th grade. So, I didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
So I did half of the 11th grade and then 12th grade. But for Joe and Victor, it was a definite culture shock. Joe had run-ins with his teachers. Victor was, had run-in with people, because we were the new guys, so people would test you.
Yeah.
We had popularity, so there's a little jealousy, and they wanted to test it. And Victor and Joe they were grown, raised to be very confident, because I was their older brother, so they're
Yeah.
used to us being around. So they didn't take any mess. You see,
Yeah.
so somebody would say something to Vic, he'd pop off and hit him with some nunchucks, Bruce Lee nunchucks, anything. He really like that.
They mess with the wrong dudes if they mess with you guys.
Sure did. They sure did. They mess with, Joe too. Joe could always talk. So the teachers would try to quiet him down.
Yeah.
He said, the teacher said, I'm going to call your mom. Joe would say, no, I'm calling my mom.
Wow.
Explain the culture shock. He'd say, look, they come from California. California, you call teachers by your first name. You don't call them, yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
But he went to, Virginia. I remember Joe was so shocked because they had barbed wire on the windows,
Oh, wow.
like he was in jail.
Yeah.
He didn't freak out, but it was a shock for them.
Yeah, that's a thing, man. For me, it was the opposite going from Virginia out to California.
Yeah.
But I know that that's such a huge difference between the two places that it's a shock, man. People are different out in California. I was shocked at the things that you would be allowed to do out there. If I'd have done in Virginia, they would have put me under the jail.
Correct. Yeah, I love California. Some of my style, I like to be really crazy on stage. Like, I like to be playing technical, but at the same time, I always want to keep my Elvis Presley, my West Coast, that I can go crazier than the next guy. But that came from California.
Yeah.
California was so free, and they didn't have the anger, or they on the East Coast. It's like a melting pot. Like if something comes up on the East Coast, it's been building up a long time.
Yeah.
But something would come up in California for no reason. I remember in the high schools, like I went to Cordova High, but they have shootings at these other schools for no reason. Like,
Yeah.
guys just,
Yeah.
I know that's what I noticed, like on the East Coast, because we lived in Ohio. Joe was born in Ohio, lived in North Carolina, and the energy was totally different. Like stuff would build up, frustration. You see me? And so it was going to pop off at some time. But California, there was not that. But they'd be going crazier over there.
Yeah.
As far as everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, it's amazing that you guys got to experience all of that. And here's the thing, man. You got to see music And especially the electric guitar, the evolution of the electric guitar.
Yeah, that sound was incredible, man. That's all I could
And
say.
think about this. Think about, because when I was a kid, I got into 50s rock. That was kind of the first thing I listened to, was the stuff from the 50s. And think about a 50s guitar solo or a early 60s guitar solo, and now look at what's going on now, or we'll look at what happened in the 80s. We saw it happen in our lifetime.
Yeah. No, you're right. I teach every day. I've got to teach today. I have a couple guitar players, and I tell them, the way I play is I do the Four Horsemen. You know, I do Chuck Berry from the 50s. You see what I mean? The two string ding 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 ding. Ding. That's how I make people. That's how I make my entrance a lot of times, because my player gets solos. I get two a night, so I come in with that, and then I do the 60s. Jimi Hendrix, he dominated for about a decade. Bending, whammy bar, uh, feedback, sustain, and then I go to the 70s. Van Halen destroyed the Jimi Hendrix sound because I was doing that sound. All of a sudden, I saw guys. I mean, they didn't have the technical knowledge that I did, but they were taking the show because I didn't. They had sound. The arpeggios, tapping, like, whoa, that's so orchestral.
Yeah.
The Hendrix sound got old. That was the 70s. And in the 80s, you took me to see Yngwie. You took me to see Yngwie down at the Coliseum Mall. And I remember right there, he was doing what Van Halen was doing with a sweep. Like, his
Yeah.
head is barely moving. He's getting close to Van Halen. 5 note arpeggios. So, but to this day, I only play those four guys.
Yeah.
You see me? I really don't get anything from the 90s except for songs, but technique wise, that's really my secret. Of course, I slap and stuff like that, but lead guitar wise, I'm just playing those four guys
Yeah.
in my style. Very effective.
Yeah.
Of course, I advanced it. I do jazz arpeggios. I just don't do the Yngwie ones.
Yeah.
I do jazz. You see what I mean? Jazz tapping.
Yeah.
Advanced, like Scotty Mishu.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Scotty Mishu at your house on that Wednesday night. That was your jam where I met him.
Yeah.
And the thing about him was that he was doing all these altered things, like tapping and
Yeah.
sweeping. See, that didn't exist.
I remember it was like and back then, you didn't have I didn't have any way to videotape what he was doing. I had to just listen, and then the next day try and figure out what he was doing, and it was a whole tone. He used to do these whole tone runs.
Yeah, that's right. It's whole tone, yeah. And he called it tonic systems. He'd be zigzagging this way and zigzagging that way. Then you remember that guy named David Grantham? That's where he learned it from. Remember?
Oh, I never knew that guy.
That was like a jazz teacher of his. He actually played at Busch Gardens before you got there.
Wow.
In 81, I think you got there around 82 or something like that. And he was there before I got there. He was a young jazz guy, and Scotty was studying with him because he wanted to do the jazz thing instead of the harmonic minor thing that Yngwie was doing.
Yeah. Well, see, I learned something right there, because I always wondered, because Scotty Mishu was like 13 years old back then.
13 at your house, that's correct.
And I'm like, where is this 13-year-old kid getting these runs from? Because it wasn't on the Van Halen record that I had in the corner. It's not on the Yngwie record.
No.
And look, and here's another thing. You are also you know jazz guitar.
Yeah.
You studied, jazz. You can play jazz. You
Yeah.
also, I remember back in those days, were playing Holdsworth tunes.
Oh, yeah. Well, anything with a guitar. I was studying country, anything with a guitar in it, and the guy was good, then I was trying to learn it. I was in band, not to your level.
No. I'm not even on the same page, bro. In fact, all I do now is talk.
Yeah, but man, if I can speak freely, man, I gotta call it the way it like sound. man, you because I was at Busch Gardens, right? And I'm doing good, right? I'm doing my country thing. But uh, they always used to say I played too loud too, because I'd be pushing it. But man, you came in there with that Zion guitar, man, that thing had a sound. You see me? And that's what helped me to hear the Van Halen sound, hear the sound of the Marshall. You were actually getting the sound the way a Marshall is supposed to sound. You see what I mean? With that Zion, and I could hear it.
Well,
Like
I appreciate that.
that's the direction. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So and they let you play loud. They kept telling me to. I mean, all the supervisors telling me to turn down, and then I could hear you. I could hear you over the whole part doing the dive bomb and then the squeal. It's like, so it was like a hero. Like, how come this guy could sit here and, well, I could hear you all the way at the Loch Ness Monster and and English. And
I remember walking by the country show and hearing you shredding country, dude, and just going, what the, and I came around that corner and just went, I mean, dude, you were tearing that stuff up. There's something. I was talking to Joe, and you guys play all these different styles, right? And I would say, he says, well, if you don't like a style, that's because you can't play it.
yeah, that's how I do it.
And I go, well, I'm not a big fan of country music because I can't play it, you know. But man, you are able to figure it out. I mean, we can all kind of analyze what are these country guys doing, but to be able to actually do it, how long would it take you to kind of get proficient at chicken picking and all that stuff? How much would you spend on something like that?
And when I first got to Busch Gardens in 1981, I didn't have the timing, right? I was in the Mahavishnu, John McLaughlin,
Yeah.
Al Viola, Paco, those guys,
Yeah.
Larry Coryell. I'm still into Van Halen, Jimi Hendrix, whoever could shred. So I gotta admit, my timing was off in the very beginning, and I overplayed over people's heads. So I got with this guy. There's this one guy who was like a showman. He could talk and handsome guy. Everybody loved this guy. He was a star. The, at the time, they didn't even have a country show. They just had a bluegrass show.
Ah.
Yeah, they didn't have a country show in the beginning. And but I asked this guy, "What are you thinking to get this crowd, under that big tent? What are you?" And I just hung out with him, and he couldn't really explain it, but I just said, "I'm going to tag along and watch." And then what I started doing to get the timing, because I was overplaying or playing not the right way. Like I'd play and they wouldn't respond. So I started watching Hee Haw, the country show, and I saw Roy Clark. And what Roy Clark did was when he played something, he could really play, but he made it look hard. Like he'd play something and make these funny faces, like it was hard, tune up.
Yeah.
Started meeting a little bit. So I started doing that. I started making sure I looked at the crowd, you know, and make sure I was there with them. You see what I mean? And so he helped change my timing. So and then later on, I could start getting my shredding back in there. You see,
Yeah.
but like we play Orange Blossom Special, we're dancing, we're dancing in a country tune. We spin our guitars. Once you and Victor got there, we did all the showmanship stuff too, so it would relate. But in the beginning, I did not have the timing. I was trying to figure out.
I think that is the toughest thing. I notice if I were to pick up a Telecaster right now and put on a country thing and start playing along with it, I could outline the changes because they're easy changes. but
Yeah.
I would feel like I'm behind all the time because it's such a different time feel of, you know, it's not like jazz, it's not like rock, it's its own thing, and you gotta spend the time, and you figured it out, man.
Yeah. You just gotta, no matter what you're playing, you just gotta make it jam.
Yeah,
Like to me, like whenever I play, whatever song I'm playing, that's my favorite tune.
yeah,
The song I'm playing. And if it's not, I gotta figure out, well, how do I make this thing jam? Do I need chords? Do I need lead? Do I need rhythm? You see, I mean, like playing a gig. Every time I play a gig, I just want every song to be the song.
yeah,
So you can keep a gig.
yeah. These are huge lessons that I've talked about on this channel. The first one that you mentioned was selling it, selling your solo. And I'd heard Tommy Tedesco say the same thing. He said he'd be playing in the studio and he'd play it perfect, and the producer go, "Oh, but can you do this?" And so the next pass he'd play the exact same thing, but he'd get all
Right, right.
and act like he was just, and the guy would go, "That's it, that's it." But he had played exactly the same thing. And so there's that, and what was the other thing you were talking about? It's like, boom, these are lessons, man. These are
I
a
didn't have the
philosophy.
I didn't have time. But anyway, but that's what happened. So I was at Busch Gardens. I was in the Italian show, and uh, and then so Wayne Kirby heard me practicing in the back. I was playing acoustic guitar in the Italian show. Wayne Kirby, you remember Wayne Kirby, the producer at Busch
Yeah,
Gardens, heard me practicing in the back and said, "Who are you?" So then he pulled me out of the Italian show, and then they built a country stage. They said, "We're going to do a country show."
wow,
Started, and then so instead of the bluegrass show, they actually started a country show. Wanted me to do lead, and we're doing the country show, and then I had to get the timing because I wanted to shine, and so I finally got the timing,
yeah,
timing, selling it like you say, and then it went so good. I also played steel guitar. You know, I wanted to look legitimate.
yeah,
All the steel, and then eventually they built another stage so uh, country blue could come in. So Victor,
yeah, yeah,
I was really trying to get Victor to. I didn't want Victor to go to college. I want him to play Busch Gardens. That would be his college.
yeah.
They formed another country show, and he was there to play. And I think you were in his band. All the good players were in your band.
Well, we had James Genus
Yeah,
in our band,
yeah,
and
James.
and that's another guy. I'm gonna have to get him on here. But how long, when you learned pedal steel, how long did it take you to figure that out?
I I had a good 2 nights.
2 nights?
2 nights, yeah. Yeah. two
Hey,
nights.
hey, everybody! It 2 nights. So I don't want to hear anybody complaining. If you need to learn how to play an instrument, you got 2 nights, bro.
Yeah, I had 2 nights. But I did the work. I learned the tunes. I just had to make sure the bar was in, I made sure the bar was in tune. I put my fingers behind the bar so you don't hear the strings ringing. A couple little fundamentals. My first pedal steel at Busch Gardens didn't have pedals. So I figured out how to bend the strings behind the bar so it sounded like I had pedals.
Yeah,
I listen to some of the tapes now. There's a couple of clips on YouTube, and there's no pedals, but
Wow.
sounds like I got them.
Wow.
But now I use pedals. I still play a lap still, but I have a pedal lap still.
Wow.
But yeah, just put the time in, study, and you know,
That's amazing though. 2 nights, dude. I don't think I could pull that off in 2 nights. I don't know.
nights I had the audition for Wayne and Doug, and they said it's great. Put in the, and I loved it, man. Put in the. See, I like steel better because you can play it louder.
Yeah.
Tone it down. Still, you didn't have to tone it down.
Yeah.
I love the steel.
Yeah.
step on that pedal to the metal, man. You know, you could really be way up there in volume.
Yeah. And it's almost like a little miniature orchestra in a way. I mean, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Got those, it's like string pads almost.
It's like string pads, yeah. And you use the pedal, you know, you back off the pedal and
Swell in and stuff.
yeah, it's like, to me it's like the organ of keyboards. Like, you know, you have keyboards and stuff, but still it's kind of like an organ in a way. But anyway, we used to live in Hawaii anyway, and Hawaii had so many Hawaiian steel players, and they played jazz over there. Those Polynesian tunes were like jazz, like one country. And so you could be riding down the street in Hawaii, and you just hear the steel coming out, and it'd
Wow.
be playing this, you know, oh great spirit, you know, playing this weird.
Wow.
So I had that jazz sound, jazz steel sound.
That's amazing.
Buddy
So,
Evans was,
so you're teaching still. Now I call what you're doing these days, you're running a dojo. It's a music dojo.
okay.
And you've got players coming in and they'll all be in a circle and everybody's, sharing ideas and all this kind of stuff.
Jam sessions, you know, when we did those jams at your house, it was the same thing. You know, everybody's playing at the same time, but then we put Keith Horn up there, he gets a feature. You get up there, you know, it's a dojo. It's music. There's no explanation. You just let it happen, and that's how you learn the most. You see what I mean?
And you've inspired players like Tosin Abasi, who has name checked you in interviews and stuff of your different techniques, your thumb techniques, your in and out, kind of stuff, and you're at the forefront.
He came to the house because my student Evan Brewer was in his band. So Evan Brewer is a bass player. And Evan's really good. If I had an Olympic team on bass, Evan would be on it. You know,
wow.
He's double thumbing and he's using all four fingers, you know, for plucking and stuff. My brother Victor's used them at his camp and everything. But Tosin wanted to know how to do that. And Tosin said, well, he learned from me. You could do it on guitar. And Tosin had never heard of slapping on guitar. So he came by the house, stayed over about 4 hours. You know, I showed him I explained everything how to do it. You know, if you basically like you do everything with your hand possible. If your thumb goes down, it can go up. If you strum this way like a guitar pick, it can also go up, like plucking. I mean, you do everything you can, even with your left hand. You're just trying to do everything you can, and there's no limit to it. So, you know, I demonstrated some stuff, some rolls, and he was blown away. I showed him the mutes and everything. He never adapted how to use mutes and all that, but he showed him everything, and now he's known for slapping. So I'm very happy for him.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing. A lot of the techniques that guys are doing these days, I feel like a lot of it comes out of your dojo.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to take credit, but I see a lot of people copying what I do, but take it further, I'm just copying what I saw you do, what I saw Scotty Mishu do. I mean, so, like in the 80s, I knew nothing about a Floyd Rose, nothing. You see what I mean? So I saw you hit that. That was one of the things that was blowing my mind. I know I'm pumping you up, but hey, that's what happened. That's what happened. We got to Busch Gardens. I'm hearing this sound. I'm playing a Strat, the same Strat I'm playing now, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm playing a Strat. It won't dive bomb. It doesn't lock.
Yeah.
I'm hearing the bass string go an oct. He hits an A, you hit an A, and it goes down to a low A, like nothing. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
I even saw you playing outside of that stage, and you hit your whammy bar, and the strings dropped off the neck like the guitar was broken.
Yeah.
My eye, boom, what in the world is that? And so, you just learn from who you learn from. But
yeah.
That's my whole life right there.
Yeah.
Right? That's technology. I need that sound.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew about Van Halen anyway. Anyway, I could play Van Halen,
Yeah.
right? His hardest solos, his speed. He was flicking his wrist, but I did it with my arm.
Yeah.
But I didn't know a lot of key things. I didn't know about a Floyd Rose. You showed me how to lock it. You bought me my first. You took me to give me the first Charvel. I mean, that's the truth of the matter.
Yeah.
Sometimes things don't come out, but that's what happens. So we learn from whoever. People are learning from me, but I learned from you. Then you're the one that brought Scotty Miss You to the house. You see me? So that's just what happens. You see me? You
Yeah.
learn. I think we're open to learn. Sometimes the like I go to the jams here sometimes, and the people aren't. They're not like how we were. They're not really open. Like I used to see a player, and like I'd come up to you and say, "Man, what is that?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
do that," and then you're like nice enough to explain it to me. You know, show me Vinnie Vincent.
Yeah.
That's what I got this guitar because of Vinnie Vincent. You see what I mean? But it was the next step past Ingve for me. Like, hey, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
But a lot of people today, I don't feel that same energy. Like, I mean, I teach lessons, but even so, I have a few that have that kind of hunger and enthusiasm. And like for instance, like, I mean, I hate to, but when I saw you right away, certain players, I could see that longevity. This guy's going to be doing it for a long time. It's not just something you do for, a
Yeah.
year.
For a couple
You see,
years.
some of what Scotty Miss You the same way. I could tell, hey, this guy's, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So Van Halen, this guy, he's not doing it just for the money. This guy's going to be
Yeah.
paying, but you see what I mean? You can feel that energy. But anyway, so we just learn from each other, you know what I mean?
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think kids? What's the most thing that kids want to learn now?
Well, a lot of times it's a song, you know. um, uh, I'm lucky though. I have some people that have seen Victor Wooten and they've seen me. So some people want to, they want to learn some of the, slapping, sweeping, a lot of sweeping, a lot of slapping though. Um, yeah, because they've seen the Victor Wooten show, and Victor's got a lot of popularity, and they've seen what I do with that.
Yeah.
So I help them. I get them there real fast. That's how I do it.
Yeah. And
But yeah,
do you feel like people are as focused where they focus more, say 10, 20 years ago, or are they more focused now? What's the state of guitar?
well, to me, uh, as far as the instrument, people were way more focused back then. But today, I teach so many people. They want to learn something so they can put it on TikTok or put it on a thread. Like, and I'm thinking, you're not even ready yet. You just learned it. Like, there's no emotion in it.
Yeah.
But I mean, so many people. I mean, I got some students, but I won't name them. They come every week, but I show them something, what they want to learn, and then they record it right here in the lesson. Like, you're not even ready yet. Like, but they're happy that they did it.
Yeah.
Not ready to be publicized,
Yeah.
executed it. You see what I mean? Like, I didn't feel it. Like, you see what I mean? So that's a big difference.
Yeah.
Back in the day, people played with the emotion. They hit one note, and you could look at them and tell what they felt.
Yeah.
But they learn it. I see a lot of that. So many people, they learn it and they're ready to post, and they do post.
Yeah. And I
Now,
think we would back in the day, we wouldn't even think of like, I'm not ready to have anybody hear this yet. I got to go in my room for like a couple days at
exactly.
least.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a big difference. I'm not saying either one is right or wrong, because a lot of these guys got way more followers than I do.
Yeah.
It's a different energy now. So I just try to watch and learn.
It's a different world, man, because it's like me doing this. I'm like, I started off playing a little bit, and then when I just started talking and telling stories and saying how hard it is and how you had to, play for 5 people and get $20 at the end of the night. Then all of a sudden people started watching because they want to know the truth.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's not an easy life being a musician. But if you love it, you don't have a choice.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear that all the time. I get a lot of students that want to know how to make a living in music, and I just for me, I just tell them, look, music is just like any other job. Like in this life, you can make a living doing anything, baking cookies, donuts, Krispy Kreme, but you just got to have commitment to it. Anybody can make a donut. Anybody can make chicken at home, but Colonel Sanders loved chicken. So guitar's the same way. You make donuts, you put in 8 hours a day making donuts, 5 days a week. If you put in 8 hours a day on the guitar, 5 days a week, 40 hours a week, you'll make a living at it. You'll figure it out. I mean, so a lot of it's just commitment.
And would you say versatility? What's your opinion of being able to play a lot of different stuff?
Okay, when I teach, um, so I tell people like you're going to need versatility, but the way you do it is like this is the way Victor learned. I said, well, Victor, he had to learn melody, rhythm, and harmony. I taught him that's how you're going to take the crowd. You can take them melodically, which means one note at a time. That means tapping, scales, whatever. We got to learn the art of what one note can do, like Van Halen or Ingve. You know, then you got to learn harmony, like chords, jazz. I can take the crowd that way. You see what I mean? That's what I'm using at Rudy's. I'm using a lot of harmony. You see what I mean? And then you can use rhythm, funk. And so we want to know, like with Victor, we said we got to learn everything about rhythm, odd meter. You see what I mean? And so the way Victor learned, right? Everything Roy could do on the drums, Victor could do on the bass. Every chord I could play on guitar and Joe played, he could play it on the bass. 4 strings. That was the style.
Yeah.
Same thing with Rudy playing all those lines, Charlie Parker lines. Victor could do it on the bass. And then Victor got so he could slap it on the bass. He's slapping Paganini, things like that.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. And that takes care of the versatility. I try to study all rhythm. That way, when I get to country, it's just another rhythm. I've already been there. I could stretch that country. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So I teach that every day. We learn melody, rhythm, harmony. I tell them, I say, man, I teach a jazz guy. Man, your chords are good, but you can't shred. Like, it's going to get boring.
Yeah.
I mean, you play a gig, you got to take at least one solo on Mustang Side. You got to take one.
Yeah.
For a gig, if you're going to try to work. So that's how I teach versatility: melody, rhythm, and harmony.
That's amazing, man, because we've seen a lot of different styles come and go.
Yes, sir.
But the one thing that's constant is know your chords, be able to play over different chords, and be able to analyze. I mean, it's all the same. It's just how they mix it up.
It's all the same how they mix it up.
And the only thing that sucked was the 90s, right? Because all of a sudden, dude, a whole decade where it wasn't cool to play a guitar solo.
Hey, I wasn't going to say it, but when
I'll say it.
it's like, what happened? It was rolling so good. The guitar was rolling so good, and all of a sudden, nothing.
It was like I remember like playing on rock stuff in the 90s and literally having to dumb down the solo to try to sound like you were, a teenage kid or something. And it was like maybe if I hadn't had to do that for 10 years, I probably would be better now because at least it would have still been cool to play. But it's like 10 years of just simple, basic, high school guitar solos, it doesn't really do well.
That's true. That's true. Even now, there's not a lot of guitar work in the industry. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
For me, I tell people, even with the Wooten Brothers, you know, we can use that negative as a positive. You see me?
Yeah.
Because what happens for me, the way I look at it, is that if the world goes down, it just makes me look better. You see what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
You see me? It just makes me look better because, like, when I do my Van Halen idiom tapping or whatever, it's going to hit. Like when Van Halen did it, nobody was doing it, and
Yeah.
he did a big hit. So nobody's doing it now. So if I do it, it's going to be a big hit.
Yeah.
Because it work. So for me, I like it. That's why I came to Nashville. Told Victor, come to Nashville. They're all playing country. They don't play fusion, funk, rock. They don't know Scotty Michie. They don't know Brad Henderson. Make sure you bring that. I told Vic, hate to take his credit, but I did. I said, make sure you spin that guitar around your neck.
Yeah.
Make sure you double thumb Paganini solos. You see,
Yeah.
we don't, because for me, come to Nashville, there's 10,000 guitar players, and they're all playing country. So I made sure my first day I didn't play country. I played brick house.
Yeah. Yeah.
See me, just so I'd be the only one in that category. I got them dancing at the Grapevine the first day.
Yeah.
It was a rock because he didn't come here and jump into being what everyone else was doing.
Yeah.
And for me, that's a rock and roll concept. That's what I like about rock and roll. Hendrix was trying to be different. Ozzy Osbourne eating bats. He's not trying to fit in. He's trying to be as different as he can.
Yeah.
Simmons, the grown man spitting blood, 7-inch feet.
Yeah.
And so and that's one thing I liked about Scotty Michie, you, and a lot of the Virginia cats. There's some other guys, Jimmy Lawson. These guys were trying to be something new, different.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a win-win.
Yeah.
If everybody gets good, I win. But if the world wants to go down and no guitar solos, I'll be the only guy taking the guitar.
Yeah.
So for me, with music, it's just like the country show. Like I had to figure out the country show. I got there and I was overqualified, but I sat there. I mentored under a guy. Just sat there. He thought I was quiet and everything, but I had to get his timing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, now. So I started emulating Roy Clark. I couldn't do it like him. Danny Perky was his name. I couldn't do it like him, but I found my guy, Roy Clark, and I started selling it.
Yeah.
A way that I could do it, and then it worked extremely well to have that same impact.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have had that impact. It's like the timing was off, the scales were off, everything.
Yeah. And you guys were a huge part of, making Nashville what it is now. Because like you said, man, when I got to town, it was everybody playing country except for down at 3rd and Lindsley. You guys would be, and anybody that came to town that could play, was it drummers or anybody that had chops and that could play jazz or fusion or whatever, that became the place where everybody kind of went and gathered, and many of them went off to do tours and different things like that. But it all stemmed from creating this other scene that was totally different than the Music Row stuff.
Yeah, believe it or not, it's just the Virginia sound in Nashville. I mean, in our garage in Newport News, that always happened. Everybody came through every style of music. You see what I mean? And then we went to Williamsburg. That was great because you had your jam on Wednesdays. Same thing. You were a rock guy, but you had fusion guys. I mean, Keith Horn, we had everybody. You see what I mean? So it's really that same kind of energy, which I kind of don't see a lot now.
Yeah.
See that same type of energy today. I wish I did. I'm looking for it. I go to the jams, but I don't even play. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
We go to the jams. I know every jam, and I don't play. It's like But you see what I mean? But at your jam, we always played.
Yeah, everybody played.
Yeah. Same thing in our garage back home. Everybody wants to play.
Yeah.
You got to create that same atmosphere. Even now, when I play, people they ask, can they sit in? You see, they're not scared.
Yeah.
They actually need to play. You know, but that came from the Virginia sound, believe it or not. James G.
There was a lot of great talent in Virginia back then, and man, this has been an amazing conversation. And I know you've got a student coming in a little bit, so
top of the hour,
yeah, we're going to do this again another time. This was awesome. Thank you so much, Regi.
So much, man. Best wishes to you and your family.
I appreciate it, brother. Have a great day.
Thank you, sir. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye.